Louis. There you go. All right, so these recordings are being done all the time. So yes, works if I do the record 'em. What else going on? I keep reminding everyone that Owen Insurance Group is doing a AEP kickoff party at the historic Flagler Center in Stuart, Florida, downtown Stuart, Florida. Beautiful location. We've been there, was this 5 years doing it, 6 years, and I haven't missed one yet. But I'll be there on the 25th of September from 10:30 to 3 o'clock. We'll be leaving early in the morning. For those of you that are taking a ride with me, you're more than welcome. Hey Chaz, how you doing?
Hey,
Uh,
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, great, great. So let's get into today's topic. Let's see if I got this thing right today. Okay, so today's topic is storytelling that sells. We're going to work on a skill that makes every other sales skill stronger, and it's called storytelling. This is not about becoming an entertainer and not memorizing a dramatic script. It's about taking the real moments we hear every day and making them more meaningful for the client. By the end of this webinar, you will know how to build a short story, ethical stories that help a client understand the problem, see the possible outcome, and feel confident taking the next step. Notice that our team is part of today's lesson. Each of our agents will help us bring one story principle to their lives. The goal is simple: make insurance easier to understand and easier to remember. With that, we're going to start with a quote of the day, and it's by Maya. I can never say her name. Angelo. Okay. Anyway, people may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Think about that. This is the heart of today's training. Clients may not remember exactly the deductible, the co-pays, the premiums, or the product names we explained, but they'll remember how we made them feel. Did they feel rushed or respected, confused or clear, pressured or protected? Storytelling helps us create that emotional memory. A good story says, I understand what matters to you. I have this kind of situation. I've had this situation before. There's a path forward. And just go into the little story. That feeling is not manipulatory. Okay, or in other words, don't want to be manipulating a client. When it's done correctly, though, it's clarity with humanity. Throughout this training, keep asking yourself one question: what do I want the client to feel after I finish this story? The right answer usually is understood, calm, and confident. Insurance is full of information, and information matters. But information by itself is hard to hold on to. A client can hear 10 benefits and still doesn't understand what the plan matters to them. Okay, stories translate products language into human meaning. In other words, it's going to make a difference once you put it in a way that the client's going to understand what they're getting for this. Maybe it's as simple as you can keep your doctors. We know with your history, keep seeing your doctors. And a life insurance benefit becomes your family has time to grieve without immediately worrying about their mortgage. A predictable premium becomes, you know what to budget each month. We're not replacing the facts. We are organizing the facts around what the client is trying to protect. Fact answers. What does it do? Story answers. What could this mean for me? This is the way clients start to think. Now, the best agents do both because you still have to get the facts in there, but the stories make a difference. So we're going to use some of our agents here, like I said, and they're going to explain what's going on. So the client is the hero. This is rule number one. The client is the hero. The agent is the guide. Now, Belinda's going to help us remember the first rule. The client is the hero. Too many sales stories make the agent the star. How many years we've been in the license, how many carriers we represent, how many awards we won. Those facts can support credibility, but they're not the main story. The client is the story. The client is trying to solve a problem. Okay? Maybe they want to keep a doctor, protect a spouse, lower the risk, or stop feeling confused. Our role is to guide. We ask questions that reveal the real gold. We explain the options. We point out the risk and honestly. And we help our clients choose the next step. Think of it as a GPS. It does not brag about itself. It helps the driver reach a destination. Your story should spotlight the client's future, not your resume. Okay, so Jeanette here is she's going to show where the story begins, and it's listening. Clients often ask a surface question, but there is usually a deeper story underneath. For example, what is the cost? What does it really mean? It may really mean I'm worried I can't afford another surprise. Can I keep my doctors? It may mean the doctors helped me through something serious and I don't want to start over. Do I really need life insurance? May mean I don't want to think about dying, but I worry about my family. Do not rush to answer only the surface questions. Ask one calm follow-up. What makes that the most important right now? Or what happens if that made you ask that question? Now their answers will give you the real story. And the real reason for your recommendation must fit. Now Judith gives us an easier structure to remember. Person, pressure, and possibility. First, introduce the person. The client can't recognize. You don't want the person to be identified. Keep it anonymous and simple. For example, I recently helped a woman who had just retired. Second, explain the pressure. She was worried about changing plans. Changing plans would force her to leave a specific or the specialist that she trusted. And third, show the possibility. Once we compare the network and costs, she saw an option that kept the doctors and gave her a budget she could plan around. That is enough. You don't need a long background story. 3 beats create the moment. The person makes it human. The pressure makes it relevant. The possibility helps the listener imagine a better next step. The client will remember how Judith made her feel. I guarantee you that. Okay. So Kevin's going to demonstrate how to begin a sale story without tension. Do not start by listing plans, benefits. Start with a client's life before the solution became clear. You see this weak opening? The plan includes. It gives information, but it doesn't create any curiosity or emotional relevance. How about a client called after receiving a bill she never expected? Now the audience immediately wants to know, how large was the bill? What caused it? And what happened next? Look at Kevin and the client. Kevin is speaking directly to her, not performing for a room. His story should feel like a useful example that helps the client recognize a risk or possibility in her own life. The tension must be truthful and respectful. Never exaggerate fear. A real anonymous situation or a brief labeled example protects personal information and avoids promise. Open the loop first. Once the client cares about what's happening, the product explanation has a reason to matter. Okay, Laurie demonstrates how to raise the stakes without turning the conversation into fear. The clients should feel informed, respected, and heard. Calm. A steady voice tells the client, we can look at this together. Urgency does not require panic. Be honest. Name the real risk in the plain English. Don't exaggerate it. Don't predict a bad outcome or make it feel like the client's trapped. Be relevant. Connect the risk to something the client already told you that matters to them. That's what makes a story personal instead of generic. Again, look at Lori and the client. Lori is facing the client, listening and responding. The human conversation is the lesson. The product comes after understanding. Truth can create the stakes all by itself. If you risk, if the risk is real and relevant, you don't need to make fear to make it matter. Okay, Rachel here demonstrates a simple storytelling skill. Okay, helps the client see the change, not just hear an explanation about the products. Start with where the client is. Okay, they may be confused. They may be uncertain. They may be exposed to a risk they don't fully understand. That is the tension in their story. This is where the agent, this is the agent's job, to bridge. Ask questions, compare the real choices, and recommend a direction based on what the client told you that matters. And finally, the after. Help the client picture the results. The goal is clarity, confidence, and preparation, not pressure to buy. Again, look at Rachel and the client. Rachel is beside the client and opening the path with her hand. She's not dragging him to destination. She's making it the next step easier. She's making the next step easier to see. The agent is the bridge, not the destination. The client remembers the hero of the story and makes this decision. Again, Norven demonstrates what it means to translate the policy. Excuse me. Clients rarely remember the list of features, but they remember what these features mean in their own lives. So something like a broad network. Don't stop at this plan has a broad network. What the heck does that mean? Translated. I can keep the specialists who already know your case. Now the client can see the picture of their continuity of care. Predictable premium. What the heck's that? Don't stop at the monthly price. Translate it. I know what leaves my account every month. That turns into a premium that's predictable and controlled. Very good for my Medicare supplement people. It's a predictable thing. I already know what I'm going to spend this month for this. Guess what? There's no secret after that. Life benefits. Don't only describe the benefit amount, translate it to what it protects. My family has time and choices. That is the lived meaning behind the policy language. Again, Norvin's looking at the client. Norvin is not reading the policy at her. He's using the policy to explain a moment the client can recognize. The feature is factual. The lived moments make it understandable. Features, real life meaning. If the client can picture the moment, they are much more likely to understand why the feature matters. Okay, next comes Tom, and Tom demonstrates what it means to paint the picture for the client. He is an artiste. Start with a vague version. A client saved money. It's technically a result, but it gives the listener nothing to feel or see. Use a specific version. The monthly cost and access to her cardiologist makes the real story because they connect to a person's actual concern. Use 1 or 2 details. Don't do 10. Don't get overdone with these things. The goal is to get clarity and emotion, not a long story. So let me ask you guys a question. So what 2 details would make one of your recent clients' success stories more believable? Think about that. All right. So this is a practical 60-second story formula. The goal is not to rush. It's to keep the story focused. Start off with the person. About 10 seconds. Start with someone that a client can't recognize. Okay? So I helped someone with a similar situation. Whatever the situation is. 10 seconds. Pressure. In about 15 seconds. Name the real worry or problem. This creates a reason to keep listening. For 20 seconds, guidance. Explain what you helped the person compare, understand, or decide. Keep the agent in the guide role. Make sure you stay in the guide role. And for the last 15 seconds, the possibility. Finish with what changed for that client, for the client. More confidence, clearer choices, predictable costs, or another truthful outcome. The key is 1 minute is enough to create recognition and emotion. Then stop and let the client respond with questions. Okay? You get into a store like that, usually like they'll say, "Oh, well, what happened to the guy?" Well, then you can explain more. But let the client now be in control of that. Let them ask the questions. All right. These are examples. Okay, so here is we have a Medicare storytelling example. Don't start with a product, start with a person. She's retiring at 65. Now that gives an audience someone to picture immediately. Okay? The pressure. She wants predictable costs, but keeping her cardiologist matters just as much. That's the tension. And the possibility, we compare the total cost, doctors and access, and travel needs. The agent guides the decision. The client remains the hero and chooses with confidence. Make the client real life priorities clear before explaining the features of the plan. The story makes access and cost easy to understand and remember. Example 2, life insurance. Okay? This is where life insurance becomes human. Judith is not teaching or not leading with a death benefit. She's helping the client define what protection will create for the people he loves. Okay? Time to grieve, time to make decisions and choices without immediate financial panic. He did not want his family to become financially rushed while they were emotionally overwhelmed. This is what the client says, or basically says that. The policy is a simple tool. The real outcome is time and choices. As agents connect the recommendation to the actual responsibilities, whether it be mortgage, income replacement, educational goals, final expense, or other needs that are uncovered in the conversation, we never promise that money removes grief. We explain how planning can reduce the financial pressure during a difficult time. That is our job. Example 3. Jeanette's example gives the agent a simple storytelling sequence for an ACA client. Changes. The change, risk, and action. A client started a new job and earns more. Wow. The concern is not that something bad will definitely happen, is that the subsidy may no longer match the updated household income situation. The useful action is to review and update the information promptly. Keep the tone calm. We are not trying to scare someone with a tax consequence. We are guiding or helping the client understand why a routine update matters to their financial picture. That's the same pattern works for the move, a marriage, birth, loss of coverage, or other household changes. It is important to update these things. You don't want to leave the client with a tax liability that may end up happening when they do their taxes the following year. So these things are all important. All right. So Norvin is going to show us a habit behind consistent storytelling. Capture the useful lesson while it's fresh. Build categories that match the work we actually do, whether it be Medicare, ACA, life, annuities, service saves, and referral wins. For each story, record the situation, the client concerned, the guidance we provide, the outcome, whether we have permission to identify the person, which I don't recommend. In most training and sales situations, remove the names and identifying details. Remember, the point is to preserve the lesson, not the client's identity. Review the story bank regularly and retire examples that are outdated. I use different examples for different categories, depending what I'm selling. And I have somewhat an idea. Now I adjust them to what the client needs. So it's important to understand that. But I have in my head already a lot of these situations where I have a story that I use for each situation, depending what it is. And again, sometimes I have to ad lib them. Oops. Is that the right one? Yeah. All right. So Rachel is demonstrating the delivery style. Again, keep it short. Short enough to respect the client's time. 30, 60 seconds. It needs to be natural. It has to sound like you. Don't make it, hey, I want to do it like Louie, or I want to do it like Judith, or I want to do it like whoever. Make it yours. Own it. And pause enough for the important moments to land. You don't need to memorize every sentence. Memorize the beat, the person, the pressure, the guidance, the possibility. Then tell it in your own words. The last step is the most important of all.
What are you referring to as the most important? I'd love to hear more about what you're thinking about.
Okay, I'm glad Alexa wants to know more. Sorry about that. Connect the story back to the client with a question like, does any of this part sound familiar? That moves the conversation from your example back to their needs. Very important. Tell it like a conversation, not a commercial. All right. So Tom closes this section with trust test. Okay. Remember, first, keep the stories private. Remove names and details that could identify the client, unless there is clear permission. And again, I still remove the names to protect the innocent. Second, keep them true. Never improve the ending to make ourselves look better. Third, keep them current, because benefits, rules, products, and market conditions change. So make sure you're not doing something that's unethical. Fourth, keep them balanced. If a decision includes a trade-off, explain it. Storytelling should make the facts easy to understand, not hide facts or create pressure. If the story makes someone feel pushed instead of instead of being clear, rewrite the story. Rewrite in your own mind. Make sure they understand it. Your personal why is a story that you can tell. There's nothing wrong with it. And you're still, again, make it short. Why did you enter in the insurance business? Okay. In my case, I build LTDT Insurance to help people understand their choices and feel taken care of. Okay. Uh, Keep it honest and brief. Like I said, my basically wanted to help people. The purpose is not to make the conversation about you. It's about to show the standards you bring to the clients. So I always talk very little about myself, why I got into the business. What is your why? I mean, what part of what I tell people is, I help. My mom had cancer back in the 90s, and I helped her with her medical stuff for 3 years. I was taken to the doctors. I learned a lot about Medicare, what it did, what it didn't do. It was very confusing. Okay? And that's why I got into this business. Your why builds a connection. The process creates confidence, and your service creates the referrals. Take time after this webinar and write your own why in 3 sentences. What you saw, maybe, what you decided, and how that affects the people, the way you serve them today. It's good to explain a little. Again, don't get too deep into this, but just very little. Now, Belinda demonstrates the trade-off from story to discovery. A story is not the close. It is a bridge to a better question. Start with a recognition. Does that sound familiar? If the client connects with the example, then move to the priority. Which part matters most to you? That helps us avoid assuming their concerns is the same as the person is in the story. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Then ask permission to act. If it helped, would it help if we compared that together? Great sentence. Keep the conversation client-led and low pressure. Now, the story creates relevance. The questions reveal the needs. Comparison supports the decision. All right, so let's talk about five different takeaways that we can talk about. Now, we're basically covered here. First, make the client a hero. Okay? Listen for the stories beneath the first question. Clients themselves sometimes can answer that story. They'll let you know if it's relevant to them. Listen for things. Ask questions. Use the three beats. Person, pressure, and possibility. Fourth, translate features into a moment that clients can picture. And fifth, always end with a question, not a speech. If you remember only these 5 things, your conversation will become clearer and more human. You don't need to become a professional storyteller overnight. Start with one short story in the line of business that you discuss the most. Use it on your next appropriate call. Notice where the client leans. Notice if the client, if you're on the phone, it's kind of hard to see them, but you can tell by the way their tone if you're good at this. But notice if the client leans in. Does he or she ask questions or connect the example to their own lives? And then refine it. All right. So basically, that's it on this thing. Any questions, comments? concern, needs support. Anybody got anything to say? You know, this is a tough group. You guys don't
Hi,
like talking.
Louie.
There we go. Hey, Jeanette.
I love this training today. I think it is true what you're saying. Telling a story really does help clients understand and to relate, right? Um, and be able to make decisions wisely. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, like I said, I've been using stories forever. So, I mean, I can tell you about 20 of them that I use all the time.
I know, I know. I've been with you forever, but don't forget that.
Thank you, Chaz. Anybody else got anything to say?
Yeah, thanks, Louis. That was a great way to do a presentation. Appreciate it.
Yeah, only because you were in there, right, Judith?
Oh, no, no.
I
Oh, really? That was good. That was well done.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. Let me see. Chaz says, thank you very much, Chaz. Okay. You know, Dennis brings a good point here. You have to have the client involved in this. You have to get them to open up, and really, that is the key thing that we discuss here on Monday Mastery is get the client involved. This is where it makes a difference. You get them involved in decision making. Believe me, they're not always going to get what they think is the best thing, but you're doing the best thing for the client. That's really what you got to remember. I mean, that one example we talked about with the ACA, I think it was Jeanette that was talking to the ACA person about income. Guess what? They may go from a low premium, high cost reduction to all of a sudden they're forced into a bronze plan because their income went up. Well, you know what? You got to do right by them, but you got to explain the reasons. Okay, so it's important. It's important to do things right, and of course that's why we keep saying take care of the. Oops, get back there. Get back there. That's why I keep saying take care of the people, and the people will take care of you. Let's get over here. So again, if any of you all are not with, I think you mostly are, but if you're not with LTDT Insurance or Owen Insurance Group, feel free to contact me. My information's right there. And let's talk about next week. And next week we're going to talk about cross-selling without feeling too salesy. It's amazing. This year I've done a lot of cross selling and really it's made an impact. It's been a rough year, both in the Medicare and the ACA world. Cross selling has made a big difference. So make sure you tune into that next week. All right. Let me get this here. Why are you doing this to me? All right, there we go. Thank you all. Appreciate it. You all have a great one. Have a great week. And we'll catch you next week. Hey, listen, if you want to invite other agents, feel free to do so. Send them a message. Say, hey, you got the link. Send them the link. And I'm here to help you all out, whether you're with Owen Insurance Group or not. This is open to any agent. So I will not let anyone in because I think it's an important thing. So that's me. You know. Y'all have a great week. Y'all take care.
Thank you, boss. Same to you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.